I Wait for Recovery community meeting.
Hi, my name's Haiti, and I'm also blessed and grateful to be in recovery. And we discuss recovery on Wednesdays. I am a compulsive overeater, a binger, purger, food addict, drug addict.
We're going to write a song about this. And
I
I'm an
think we
alcoholic, anorexic drug addict.
So this way you know what room you've stepped
Right.
into. So we're
Everyone's
very,
welcome.
Very clear. And sometimes my addiction's better than hers, and sometimes it's
Mine's
worse.
usually worse than hers. That's what you guys decided. So.
So what we do is we have people that join us in the room, or they join us on Zoom, or they live stream us on various formats. So if you want to get into the conversation, hop into Zoom. It's a free conversation, and we're here for community support. And let's hop into it.
Let's hop into it. So tonight, what's up with the dog? Tonight we're going to talk about ego, and our caption tonight was let go of my ego. And first, I'm going to explain a little bit, which we do pretty much so every meeting. Explain a little bit about what ego is. And so when we're talking about ego in our recovery, we're not talking about us feeling great about ourselves, which is what we think that our ego is, right? The part of us that feels great. We're actually talking about the part of us that my ego is what I think Allison thinks of me. So it's how I present myself or try to manipulate my world so that other people will think that I'm a great mom, or that I'm doing great in my recovery, or that I'm the best doctor, or that I'm the best friend, or not things that I'm actually feeling, but just the stuff that you see on the outside. And so when I'm walking around only thinking about what you're saying or what you think of me, I kind of lose myself there. And that's the best way for me to lose myself, not to pay any attention to myself, and just worry about how the rest of the world sees me.
So mine usually shows up as indignation.
Really?
It does. So one of my challenges is my ego usually enters the room and then I follow. Mm-hmm. And I usually believe the whole world revolves around me when I'm in active addiction, not when I'm in recovery, because recovery shifts that paradigm. But when I start feeling discontent and I start judging others because I feel like I'm being judged, usually those are signs that something's off in my recovery and off with me spiritually.
Right, and so when we talk about worrying about whether you're judging me, if she's judging me, ain't none of my business. Right? It's the way that I look at me, not the way that you look at me. And as long as I've decided that whoever I am is the way that you see me, then I have no sense of self. And having no sense of self actually is one of the things that keeps us in active addiction.
So the way that translated for me when I first stepped into the rooms is I believed that everyone else was wrong in my world, and the reason I was using was because of other people.
Right, so it was everybody else's fault.
It's everyone else's fault,
Right.
The resentments, and because that was I was so hurt and I was so indignant, and it really became my excuse to pick up as well.
Yeah, and so it's I think that I'm hearing what you mean from that is that puts us in a position to say, well, if Angela would just change her attitude about me, and if you would just leave me alone, and if you would just be nicer to me, then I would be fine.
Or if you just did what I wanted you to do.
Well, that's a that right. That doesn't have to do with ego. That has to do with our self-centeredness, which is a whole nother conversation, and very true. Very true. And that's actually our self-centeredness when we're in active addiction is what drives our whole entire world.
And the other part for me is that self-absorption.
Right.
You know, being so absorbed in my own head, in my own world, in my own problems, and making it because of everyone else, and not taking ownership of my part in certain things as well, became part of my ego.
And also, you know, self-centeredness or self-absorption has to do with that everything on the outside world affects you, whether it should affect you or not, right? So if Allie is in a bad mood and she comes in a bad mood, I'm going to take that on myself and think, oh my God, I can't believe she's acting like that. And she hasn't even smiled at me. And why is she doing that? And she's probably mad at me, or maybe she's not mad at me. Maybe she doesn't even like me. Maybe she's talking to Ashley about me. Maybe it don't got nothing to do with me. You know, like she just tripped over something outside and she's upset because she hurt her toe. But I've decided that your whole entire affect and attitude and what you do and what you say revolves around me. Who the F am I, man?
And you know, the amazing other thing is holding resentments for things that happened years ago. Because I've run into scenarios where with friends, with family, and we discuss, you know, this happened when I was 18, 19 years old. and they don't have the same recollection or the same memories of what I'm holding a resentment
Right.
about, and very often they've forgotten totally about it and they don't remember at all.
Right. And you know, we even think about like when there's something going on, if we can get past that second, excuse me, and think about, is this going to mean anything in 15 minutes from now or in 15 days from now? Right? Is it going to mean anything? And so a whole bunch of the stuff that we decide is about us isn't about us. And so we need to learn to live our life coming from who we are, how we feel, and how we view the world, our perspective, what we look at, and how we learn to be happy. How we learn to look at what's great as opposed to look at what isn't great. How we learn to come from a place of abundance instead of coming from a place of lack. And me not worrying about what your opinion of me is. Because as long as your opinion of me, as long as I take that on as my opinion of myself, then anything that you do is going to affect me. And really nothing that you do, unless you pick up a frying pan and slap me over the head, has to affect me. Correct?
100%.
Or if you park in my parking space. You know what I mean? That affects me. But otherwise, your attitude and your outlook, and if you're happy or if you're sad or if you're speaking nicely to me or not speaking nicely to me, that's about you. That's not about me. If I choose to be angry because you're in a bad mood, I'm taking your bad mood on. If I'm not taking on your bad mood, I might look at you and say, hey, I bet Ashley's having a hard time today. I'm going to go reach my hand out and see if she needs some help. That's my perspective. Same exact thing is happening. I'm looking at it differently.
So I've got a suggestion. We have got so many newcomers. You know, the interesting thing about recovery is we get to stay in recovery and keep what we've got by being of service and by giving it away. And we've both been in the rooms, and really being of service is also, the newcomers help us remember what it was like when we first stepped into the rooms, and also becomes a community of collaboration where we learn from each other, from our different experiences, our strengths, our hopes, also our challenges. I mean, overcoming challenges when we are addicts is something that we don't have the best thinking ourselves. We tend to suffer from stinking thinking. That's how we resorted to addiction and how we started using and kept using for so long in the beginning. So if we can maybe say hi to everybody and do a quick go around.
That'd be perfect.
Hi, welcome.
Welcome. Hi, who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
I'm Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
So
Welcome.
nice of you to come hang out with us.
Good to be here.
Good.
Do you want to share anything? Are you in the rooms, not in the rooms? You came to hang out?
What do you ask me if I'm not?
No, I meant like, how are you? Like,
Oh.
what are you doing here tonight?
Okay, well, yeah, I actually saw the posting on Eventbrite,
Uh-huh.
and I thought it was a good idea.
Very
So,
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, just group therapy.
Very cool. So we're super glad that you're here. That's awesome.
And Allison
so
told me
welcome.
about the group too. So.
So it's Allison's fault. Okay.
No, he told me, and I was like, "Oh, I'd go to that."
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I didn't
That's
even know she was
awesome. That's awesome.
So welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome. Hi, Sarah.
Hello.
How are you, Mama?
I'm doing well. I mean, overall, I think I've made a lot of improvement, and I think I use you guys in my everyday life. I talk about you guys a lot because when I'm speaking to people or my family, whatever, I was like, oh, Felice says this, and Heidi says that. And I'm like, and I love their perspective, and it's, it's really, like I keep saying, it's that perspective thing that's
Yeah.
really helping me. So that, in that way, I'm doing well. As far as binging and purging, I've maintained myself, and I'm doing well with that.
Yay.
Um,
Does everybody want to give a little
How many
yay?
days?
I'm like 10.
10 days.
Girl.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Thanks. And
Yeah.
I put a tracker on my phone because it kind of makes me good. Because I want to know how many days. It
Good,
makes me
good.
feel-
I have a clean day tracker. You've got a clean day tracker.
got
You've
one
got a
too.
clean day tracker, yeah.
Actually, I've got multiple clean day trackers because I have multiple addictions. I just swap one for the other, okay? I just
Wow.
like changing how I feel.
Stop talking.
No, this is when I'm in active addiction, okay? Yeah, so. Is that like an addiction on crackers?
So I was gonna just add one more thing.
Sure.
It's not really in relation to food or anything, but
It's okay.
last night was hard for me. Something happened to Gabby. She had an accident, and she bumped into the wall, and I don't know why that. It's happened multiple times in the past. She like gets stiff and sort of loses unconscious. I don't know. It's very, very scary. It was in my mom's house, and so right away when that happened, I don't know why that happened, but like meaning with me, I couldn't see it. My dad was right there too, and Cliff, and I couldn't watch it. I ran outside. As soon as I hit the door, a panic attack came on.
Okay.
And I was outside hyperventilating, so she's okay, and we took her to the hospital. But I just wish I could have been more supportive, but at the same time, I couldn't help that a panic attack came on.
Exactly. And so when you're feeling, first of all, when our fight or flight comes in, it's actually called fight or flight, right? So you fled. And you went outside and you had a panic attack. That's adrenaline. So it's the same thing that happens when we're excited, right? Or when we're scared. And right now, first of all, it's your kid and you got scared, right? And that's something that you could talk through with somebody, and even when you're scared, learn how to get a little bit better about it so that you can feel a little bit better and you could be there for your kid. You're a mom who was scared because her kid was hurt. You know, I mean, no one's going to fault you for that, right? Nor should you fault you for that. And whatever happened yesterday, you did your best to do your best. It's not like you said, hey, I think I'm going to go to the grocery store and let them take my kid to the hospital because I really want to, you know, buy some lettuce, right? That's not what happened. So you had a reaction. And that reaction, okay, so you had a reaction, let it go. Doesn't make you a good person or a bad person. It makes you a person who had a reaction. It's your body taking over that adrenaline. Physiologically, I could talk to you more about it later. Let it go right now. Your kid's okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's okay. Okay, and we'll talk about that more privately.
Okay.
I just have to say something. Kudos, you didn't pick up.
No,
You didn't
I
like
was more
after
scared than
everything.
it.
After everything settled down, you didn't go to the old things of binging and
I wasn't even thinking about it.
right. So
And the thing is, too, is that you're sharing it
right.
without feeling embarrassed about it, right? Because you didn't used to share very much, and you still came in here tonight smiling. So this is the second time in a row that I've seen you in the room smiling. So yeah, so everything's actually in the beginning, it's gonna start to get harder, right? Because we're gonna realize more about ourselves, and as it gets harder, it'll get easier, and then it'll get harder a little bit and get easier, and you'll be changing for the better, and you've already shown the willingness and already stepped in there, so kudos to you.
Thanks.
I'm proud of you.
Guys.
I really am.
Thank you.
Hi. I'm so happy to see you.
Oh, great to be here. As always.
What's up, girl?
I'm good. I don't have anything crazy that happened. Yesterday was my mom's birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, she's getting old. Still good looking. And we like had candles for her, and I looked at the cake and I was like, I just want to put my face in this cake. And I just like I did put my face in the cake, and then I smelled the cake, and I was like being very like nostalgic, and I mean, I didn't eat the cake, I didn't consume it.
How did you
And then
feel
I was-
about it, though?
it was a passing moment.
Okay.
It was just kind of like, okay, it happened. I did want the cake. And then there were all types of cakes around and ice cream and stuff. And, but I let it go.
That's awesome. You know, I'm going to share. So I watched a movie the other night with Angelique called Thanks for Sharing. And it's a movie about sex addiction. And for me, it doesn't matter what you're picking up. So whether it's sex or it's drugs or it's food or it's whatever it is, it's one of the truest depictions of addiction that I've ever seen. It's a little hard to watch, but if anybody wants to see it, it's on, no, I don't think it was on Netflix. Anyway, it's called Thanks for Sharing. And I watched it, and it was the third time that I saw it. And I'm going to let you know that I cried after, and I don't cry very much. The first time I saw that movie, I sobbed uncontrollably. The second time I saw that movie, I sobbed uncontrollably. The third time I saw the movie, I cried. And we talked about it after. And I watched this movie, which was such a true depiction of what people go through when they're in active addiction, when they're clean, when they're struggling, when they're in active addiction, and when they do their best to get themselves back again. And it was one of the few times that I allowed myself to look at myself and say, I can't believe I'm an addict. I can't believe it. Like, I can't believe that this is the person that I am. You know, and I talked to my therapist about it, and she's like, well, you know, it's the person that you were. And I'm like, no, it's the person that I am. I'm an addict. You know, the struggle, you know, they say the struggle is real. The struggle is real. Do we step into recovery? Yeah, of course we do. Do we feel better? Yes, we do. But this person who shows up for work and treats patients and runs recovery meetings and is a friend and a mom and a lover and a cousin and an aunt and all of the good stuff about me, that addict is just as much a part of me. And I have to actually remember that and hold a little bit of fear about that, because I did relapse after 7 years, and that's part of my story. So the reason why I asked how you felt about it was because I allowed myself for a little bit of time, and I don't allow myself very many negative feelings, and I allowed myself for some time to talk about it, and actually talk about it, and then talk about it with my therapist, and say, you know, that this addict part of me, it is what it is, and no, I'm never going to be able to do, you know, we say we choose to. The fact is that I can't, because if I do, I'm going to die. The fact is that if I start using again, I'm probably going to die, beside the shame and the letting everybody down. And I think that it was important for me to be able to look at me and take a minute to feel a little sad for me, just like I would feel sad for you. Just like I would look at you and say, hey, I understand your struggle and I really wish you the best. I've got to be able to look at me too and say, hey, I understand your struggle, Felice. You know, I understand your struggle. I know that you're doing your best. You know, good job, you. But not letting go of that part, of letting myself have that little bit. Because for me, when I don't let myself have any negative feelings, I walk around scared and I relapse. So it's okay to say, yeah, like it really sucked for me for that minute. I got better. But for that minute, you know, I was resentful. For me, when I'm resentful of me, that I have to be different than other people. You know, I'm angry at me for being different. Not that I chose to have this brain, you know, the brain that does all the good and still has that part of it in it. So I just wanted to share that with you, because I usually don't share about stuff like that.
So none of us grow up when we're little going, when I grow up, I want to be an addict.
Right, it's like, who wants to be a fireman, who wants to be a doctor, and who wants to be an addict? I do, right? Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And I could so relate to what you're saying, because all I was doing was hanging for a cigarette. You know, I'm the addict, so I'll stick anything in my mouth or just change how I'm feeling if I can. I was hanging for a cigarette. Angela happened to phone today. I said, I'm really hanging for a cigarette, but I'm not putting one in my mouth. I mean, I can just put it out there. I really feel like a feeling came, feeling went, sucked what was happening, but didn't go and buy a box of cigarettes and have one. So sometimes it really sucks to be around it and wanting stuff and not being able to have it. But then we realize we've got a choice as well.
Yeah, and so for me, it wasn't about wanting to use.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to use. I saw the movie and it didn't make me want to use. It just allowed me to take a look at myself and say, okay, Felice, this is part of who you are. And yeah, that is a little sucky. And that's okay. And that's the way that it's always going to be. So don't forget, that's the way that it's always going to be. And then continue to do your best to do your best.
I think it's important to remember that, because a lot of the times I think people who don't have my addiction are so like lucky to be able to like have any type of food that they want.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just have to keep thinking to myself, well, you're not that person. You pray and wish that you could be, but that's not the way that you're designed.
Yeah. And then at some point it comes that we pray and we're glad that we're not. And in the beginning we do go through that, you know, I pray and I wish that this is something that I can do. But we do need to recognize that we're different and that our brains are different from other people's brains. And that we don't wake up in the morning and choose to and say, hey, I really hope that I can demoralize myself some today. And I really hope that I can disappoint everybody who knows me today. And I really hope that I could go through some shame and some guilt and some self-loathing and self-hate today. We don't choose to do that, right? So like you said, nobody chooses to be an addict. It is what it is. Our brains are different. But for me, recognizing, remembering, and knowing that, yeah, I'm going to continue to do my best to do my best, for me, it was like a breakthrough for me to be able to be kind enough to myself to look at it and say, okay, this is the way that it is. And it's okay that I feel about it. Just like I would feel if, God forbid, one of my kids came home and said, you know, I'm an alcoholic, I need some help. How I would feel for that person, I'm allowed to feel that love and concern and respect for myself as well.
And I think part of the enlightenment for me was realizing that it wasn't a willpower issue, that I really have a disease. It's something that it's not something I chose, because I would have made different choices. Because if it was willpower, those diets for me would have worked. I wouldn't have been that binge or that purge or that serial dieter, that person who went for bariatric surgery. I wouldn't be the food addict. If it was a behavioral modification thing, it would have been so easy just to change those behaviors. But knowing that it's a disease and something that I'm totally powerless over in terms of my addiction. I've got all the power in the world in terms of my recovery and the choices I make in terms of my recovery. But when I put that substance into my body, things just go to heck. I mean, honestly, it's a free for all. I can't control what happens at the end of it. So I think
Yeah, and that's with all of our addictions. And you know, I realized too that as abrasive as I am with you guys, where we talked about our character defects or whatever, that we decided that my number one is that I'm abrasive, right? That I'm very blunt and to the point. And as abrasive as I am, or blunt as I am with you guys, is as abrasive I am with myself. So, in a good, loving, caring, and kind way. But that sometimes it's okay for me to take a step back and say, it's okay, you know, just to feel. And let me feel and let somebody else feel. So, thanks for letting me share that with you.
Thanks for sharing.
Miss Molly. Hi.
Hi.
What's up, girl? We haven't seen you in 83 years. How are you?
I'm good.
You're good?
I'm good.
What's going on?
Just very, very busy.
Anything you want to share? No? Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Miss Ash,
Hi.
I'm happy to see you.
Thank you.
What's going on, girl?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I downloaded an app when you guys were talking about 3 days ago, Sunday, and I have yet to get through a day.
For what, hun?
A clean day.
Okay. All right, so
Every day I restart it.
Okay, so thank you for your honesty. Thank yourself for your own honesty.
Thank you.
Look at me. I'm sorry that you're struggling. I really am. I'm sorry that you're struggling. It's sucky. Reach out more.
Right.
You know, when you think you're going to use me, pick up the phone. And don't call somebody that you're comfortable with. Don't call your bestie who's sitting next to you. Reach out to somebody else. Because your relationship with Allie is such a close relationship and it's so safe that it doesn't allow you really to step out of a comfort zone. Right? So step out of your comfort zone a little bit, try something new. Anybody out there, and certainly anybody in this room, is right here to support you.
So can I just jump in for a second? So we got different ways of doing it. I mean, really recovery is having as many tools in your toolbox as possible. You can either get numbers here and use them, or the people in the rooms. We've got our private group on Facebook, which is What's Eating You, where people post and people react and they're able to come back, go to your meeting if you've got meetings that are available. But most of all, do something other than staying where you are and sitting in it, because it's the unhealthiest place to really be is when we're just relying on ourselves and our own thoughts. When we reach out to others, it takes away the power of that thought as well, because we're able to talk about it. And once we've spoken about it, it shifts away, even just hearing it come out of my mouth. And sometimes I've got the craziest crap that comes out of my mouth. I'm amazed after I say it. I think people are going to judge me by it, and people are going to laugh at me, and they're going to say that's ridiculous. But it's not. I mean, I'm an addict. My thinking is stinking. I come up with crazy shit. So really reach out. There are many ways of doing it.
And I'm smiling as you're saying that, because if there's any one of the billion people that we might ever meet that thought that they could get through this on their own, every single one of us not only thought, but was 1,000% sure that we could do this on our own. And it worked for none of us. But every single addict thinks that they could do it on their own. before they hit the floor and say, okay, I'm done. You know, now I know that I need help.
I don't know what this is. Like, I'm not feeling a certain way. I don't feel sad. I don't feel angry. I feel pretty content and honestly happy. And I'm just hungry, and I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, in my house, there's like nothing bad to eat.
Let me
and
ask.
then I go to my parents' house, and I'm just like, oh, that looks nice.
Okay,
And
so-
then it's just there.
So we're going to go through the same thing as I did with Allie, you know, the fat and happy thing. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you, because you know, there are people that overeat and then there are addicts. So after you eat something that you've decided that you're not supposed to eat, how do you feel after? Do you feel fine or do you feel guilty?
I mean, it depends. Do I feel guilty right now? No.
Okay.
And honestly, I don't
Yeah, no, I'm not
I mean,
asking you
I
to.
don't
I'm really
feel-
asking you where you are.
guilty. I mean, I don't know. I know I've come a long way. Like, I've lost like 70 pounds on my own, and it worked. I mean, did I gain it back once before? Yeah. But I lost it again. So compared to where I was, I'm way more happy. I don't know how to explain. I don't know.
No, it's okay. Go.
I don't
You're
know
doing
how
a
to
great
say it.
job.
So
You
I
really
am. Am I fat and happy? No, but I'm happy. But I know I'm getting to my goal, and I've come a long way. So I've seen where I've been, and I see where I can go because I've been there. So I'm just like, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
So you need to, you know, so we all, you guys, we all define our own addiction. You know, whether I'm an addict or not, I'm going to look at myself and make that decision as to whether I think I'm somebody that needs help or not. Maybe you're not somebody that needs help. Maybe
I
that's
don't go that far.
okay. Well, you just did. You just did go that far. So either you're good to do it by yourself, because if you are, then that's awesome. Nobody here wants you to be an addict. Trust me. Everybody wishes we could say, wow, you know what, she's not an addict, and God bless you, man, because we all want to be just like you when we grow up. So it's about how you're feeling about it. That's all. Just getting a handle on how you're feeling about it. What was it that you didn't want to eat that you ate?
Oh, bread.
Okay.
It's boring, but I love bread.
Okay. And so remember, we talked about last time, we talked about how you had a bite of pasta and then you went out and had candy.
Yeah.
Right? And you didn't really like the pasta, but then you went out and
That's
had
where it
candy.
started, yeah.
And now you're talking about bread, but you call bread boring, but you picked it up anyway. So, okay. You know, for me, I'll never eat something that I don't like. Never. Just to eat it.
No, I like it.
Okay, no, okay. All right. And so if you eat bread and you feel fine afterward and it's no question in your head and you're like, okay, well, you know, I'm dieting. If you're a person that just needs to diet, that's different than being an addict. You know, there are people that drink too much and what they need to do is stop drinking too much. And they're not alcoholics. They're just people who are alcohol abusers, and then they make a decision and they don't drink. So, or they don't drink as much because they're capable of doing that. So whether or not you're actually an addict, which is what it sounds like the struggle sounds like, whether or not you're actually an addict, only you know. And I'm going to tell you what defines me as an addict. Not only, first of all, once I take one, I can't stop. After one drink, I can't stop. After one Percocet, I can't stop. Perhaps I can take one for a little bit of time. But in time, maybe I can have a drink today, and maybe I could have one drink next Friday, maybe I could have 2 on Thursday, maybe I could only have 4 the following day, and then maybe I'm drinking 24 hours a day again, because that's what my addiction looks like. That's what it looks like for me. So I don't know if you're an addict. I don't know you that well. So I also know that once I pick up, I'm scared and I'm ashamed. And I can't effing believe that I did it. I can't believe that I did it because I get wrapped up in that I can't stop. And the more I want to stop, I can't stop. So if you're an overeater, you're an overeater. You know, we have to check our motives. Why did I eat the bread? Was I starving? You know, and I was starving to death. And so I know that this isn't good for me, but I'm going to eat it anyway. You know, it just depends on what your motives are and then how you feel. Because when I'm in active addiction, I feel ashamed and I hate myself. And that's my thing. That's how I feel.
Right.
But sometimes you don't feel ashamed or hate yourself, or you can't pinpoint those feelings.
No, I'm talking about after the act.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like if I have gorged on a giant pizza, sometimes I'm like, oh, I got a giant pizza. I'm happy and content. In that, maybe for that night, a couple of hours, I'm like, oh, okay, I ate the whole fucking pizza. I'm fine. Maybe the next day, a couple of days later, I'm like, oh shit, I shouldn't have ate that pizza. And then I keep eating shit. Like I keep, you know what I mean? But sometimes I don't know immediately.
That's okay. And I understand that. And so that's also a place that every addict, when we're relapsing, feels. That's how I felt when I started taking the prescription meds. I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm taking it for a reason and I can do this and I don't feel bad about it. Fuck, like I feel awesome. I was in pain and now I'm not in pain, and spiritually I'm certainly not in pain, and I feel great, and I'm going to do this for a couple of days and stop. But it didn't really look like that in the long run. And that every time I picked up on a lie kind of falls into that I just ate the whole pizza and I feel okay, because you ain't going to feel okay once you're back in active addiction. I'm just not sure with Ashley if she's actually an addict or an overeater, and you're the only person that knows that. Yes, give me 1 second, baby. Yes.
This is my spiral. Like, it started, I think it was Saturday, I had pasta or whatever day it was. It's like going downhill, but it's more of a controlled downhill than normal, which sounds weird. I don't know. But when I say I ate bread, it wasn't like a piece of bread. Was it like 8 pieces? Yeah. And but I don't feel bad about it. And I think it's because like this morning, like I've been like jogging and working out, so my brain is like, you can do this because you've done this.
Let me ask you a question. First of all, I'm going to tell you that a bunch of what I just said, I said so that you could get honest. That's first. Second, I'm going to ask you a question. Why do you have a clean day tracker?
Because y'all were talking about it on...
No, but I mean, why are you doing it for you?
Because I like to track my progress, and I feel like I needed one extra thing to keep me on track.
Okay.
I have a question. Are you doing it for me?
Why would I do it for you?
Because a lot of the times, sometimes Ashley and I have a very codependent relationship. So sometimes if I'm, we like to do things together and support each other, and sometimes
But what I don't want to lose sight of right now is that this young woman just said, this is the beginning of my spiral. So I want everybody to listen to people's words. This is the beginning of my spiral. And did I eat a piece of bread? No, I ate 8. Who eats 8 pieces of bread?
Who doesn't eat?
Exactly. Who doesn't eat 14 Percocet at a time? Angela, did you ever eat 14 Percocet? No, because you take a quarter and you fall on the floor, correct?
Yeah,
after your
that's how we
surgery?
did.
A quarter. I'm like, is she kidding me? Anyway, right. So I've never, ever, I don't think, eaten more than, I couldn't even imagine eating 8 pieces of bread. Just like you can't imagine doing 14 oxycodone at a time.
It wasn't at once. If that makes it...
Okay. Wow. So I'm going to eat 1 Percocet now, 1 in 15 minutes, 1 5 minutes later, 1 with an hour straight. That was awesome. That was awesome. I love that you said that. That was awesome. Thank you for saying
I'm
that.
curious about something. When you use the word spiral, what does that look like at the end?
It takes... I sit down and I say, get your shit together, because it's either you're going to keep going or there's 2 ways to go, and do you want to go down that same route and gain all this hard work you've done? Do you want to lose it? No. So sometimes it takes me a long time, and sometimes I can snap out of it right away, and it's been almost a week.
Okay, and so
It's
you'll
in my
make
spiral.
that how you'll make that decision as far as whether you're truly an addict or not is going to be based on how you're feeling. So if you're feeling ashamed, if you don't feel ashamed and you're doing what you're doing, listen, there are a lot of people who need to lose 80 pounds, whether or not they're, if they're actually genuinely happy, and that's their own thing. That's none of our business, right? So for you, it's just how you feel. If you're feeling ashamed, or if you're feeling scared, or you're feeling ashamed, listen, when I do something great, like if I sit down and eat a salad, I don't have any fear after. I don't feel ashamed after.
Sorry,
Yes.
When you're done.
No, I'm done.
Can I ask Ashley? a
Of
question?
course.
Um,
I'll get back to you.
no, it's okay. Oh, you can go ahead first.
No,
Angeli, please go.
Okay. When you do you think you not feel? Oh, well, do you weigh yourself when you do what you're doing? And is that why you
Every
don't
day.
feel? Is that why you don't feel ashamed because you're not gaining weight? It's like balancing out, like you say.
Yes and no, because sometimes I gain weight. I'm like, I gotta stop this. I just gained 4 pounds, and then it will go back down the next day when I, eat good for a day, and then it,
Right.
and then it goes back down. I'm like, I'm good. So yes and no. If that, I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay, no, and the reason I asked that is because I did the same thing, and I didn't realize like that it was a problem because you're just for me I was just doing it, and then I'd overeat, and then I'd go exercise like crazy, and then lose the weight and be fine, and I did that for like 3 years where I stayed in that balance. I stayed at the same weight, but I was like emotionally, mentally, all like spiritually I wasn't okay. I was like living to just based on my weight and how letting that define my life and my happiness. I know you're saying you're not doing that, but I'm just sharing.
Partly, yeah. I mean, I know I'm not like I'm happy, but I feel like not happy where my life is right now, but I don't feel like I'm beating myself up about it. Like life is what it is, and I no matter how hard I'm gonna change it, it's sometimes life hands you what you got, so I'm just taking it, and I'm trying not to get myself upset about it, but it is what it is. Is my new whatever.
You know what else I think? Well, for me, it was like weight loss is tangible. For me, it gave me self-worth. If I could be skinny, if I could lose weight, if I could do these things other people couldn't do. And so, again, not saying this is you, but that's something to look at for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you. Really, thank you. Sarah wanted to say something. And we're gonna get to
It's an appropriate question.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask because I've been curious. When you abstain from rice, potato, all
Mhm.
those things, does it lessen your cravings for other things?
Absolutely.
Because I kind of noticed I don't like today. I was serving people donuts at the temple, but I didn't have the craving to want it.
Right, and so what happens is once we clean out that dopamine receptor, it's like any other drug. So if you're an opiate addict, you got to be off opiates for a while before your brain's going to stop asking you for them continuously. That obsession, that compulsion, that obsession, that compulsion. Once we clean out that receptor, then will we crave sometimes? Yeah, but will we have that obsession and compulsion? No, not when we're not using.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Leanne's back with us. Hi, Leanne. If you unmute yourself, we can hear you.
Unmute yourself, sweetheart.
There we go.
Does that work?
Yep.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. How's everyone?
How are you?
Oh, I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Okay. Okay. Do you want? Yeah.
Actually, what I'm doing tonight is my weight has fluctuated 50, 60 pounds. And because of that, I've got clothes ranging from, say, 22 down to, I'm probably about a size 3-4 right now. And normally what I've done is I've gotten rid of all of my really small clothes because I thought, oh, I'll never be that size again. And so now I'm that size again. And so I've got clothes lying all over the place here in my room. And I'm really struggling with the fact that, like, do I get rid of the bigger clothes? Because I've got them everywhere. I've got them shoved underneath the bed. I've got them in the
Okay, so
closet.
let's stop
I've got them
talking
all
about the
over.
clothes. Let's stop talking about the clothes.
I'm sorry?
Let's stop talking about the clothes. I want to know how you feel.
Well, I'm just having a lot of anxiety right now.
Okay. And what's making you anxious, hon? Because it's not the clothes that are making you anxious.
Well, no, it's fear, I guess, of being big again.
Okay. So
Of
remember.
not being able to staying the way I am.
Okay. And fear of being big, meaning fear that you'll be in. Are you in active addiction right now?
Not this minute.
I didn't ask if you were using. Head-wise, spiritually, do you feel like you're in active addiction right now?
Probably.
Yeah. So the anxiety that you're full of and the focus that you have on the clothes and being afraid that you're going to gain the weight back and all of those racing thoughts that you're having right now and saying to yourself, well, now I'm a size 3, so on the outside, other people think that I'm doing okay, but I'm really losing my fucking mind and falling apart.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, I know, baby. I know. And I'm sorry that you're going through that. And so what you did immediately was you stepped in and you started talking about the clothes, which have nothing to do with you and how you're feeling and what's really going on with you. Right?
Right. So I guess I'm thinking maybe if I get rid of the clothes, I won't get.
Doesn't have anything to do with the clothes, sweetheart. If you use, the big clothes will fit you again. If you get high,
Yeah.
the treatment center will
Yep.
fit you again. You know, it's like,
Right. Yep.
yeah. So right now, because I could see it in your face actually, like all of those obsessive thoughts, you're not picking
Right.
up, but your brain
No.
is still in active addiction.
It's funny. I was going to say to you, Felice, when we spoke, actually, maybe it was two months ago, when I first found these meetings. Right away, my thought was like, I need to go there to that treatment center. Like that's where I need to be. But you guys don't have a treatment center there. That's not a treatment center where you are.
We're actually working on having a retreat. So we're not going to call it a treatment center. We're going to call it a retreat. But we will be having a retreat where we do extensive, it'd be like inpatient but prettier, where we'll do extensive step work with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, extensive work on recovery.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're going to do. But thank you for coming tonight. It was awesome that we talked on the phone the other day. And I really appreciate you being here. I want you to take a breath. Right? We talked about it the other day. Breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe. I want you to pack up the clothes and stick them in a box or get them out of your face. Okay? This is like putting your paraphernalia, throwing your paraphernalia away. Put your clothes somewhere that you're not looking at them. Okay?
Yeah.
You don't have to be hanging out in the bar if you're an alcoholic, right?
Right.
Right, because that's just going to make it even more difficult. Do you go? You go to anywhere? You go to AA?
Yeah.
You have a sponsor?
Yeah, I do. However, she has a home in Florida. I'm in Canada, right?
Oh,
Where
right.
it's snowing and blowing and crazy right now. But she has a home in Florida, so she goes there for 6 months.
Okay.
So,
Are you in
yeah,
contact with your sponsor?
I'm sorry?
Yeah. Are you in contact with your sponsor?
Well, I try to be. Yeah, I spoke to her briefly today. Yeah.
Okay. You have a therapist?
No, I'm really very financially limited. Like
Okay,
very,
fair
very,
enough. Fair
beyond
enough.
Words. So.
Fair enough. Well, I want you to stay connected. You do your gratitude list every day, right?
Do my best. Yep.
Yeah. I see you a lot. Do that. Stay connected. We'll talk to each other. There are other people that you could reach out to. And I'm really glad that you...
It's difficult. No, I don't mean to say it's difficult. It's just hard because you guys are all in the States and the phone plan. But I did have an app. I don't know if you guys have an app in the States, but I have one called Hangouts here. And it's a free app that I can put that's on my phone.
You can, I don't know if we have that, but you can IM anybody.
Or Skype.
Or Skype.
And WhatsApp is a
we
free
use
call.
WhatsApp.
Or Zoom.
Yeah, that's what it is. Oh no, ours is Hangouts.
Okay.
So I think WhatsApp is probably
So
the
the
same sort of
app,
thing.
yeah.
There are a couple of options. You can also call via Facebook as a free call. So anyone in our group that you see there, you can actually call them by phone, and it's a free call if you're on Wi-Fi.
Oh, okay. I'm not very technical, but I'm sure I can figure something out.
Okay. All right.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah, and
Thanks very
we'll
much.
continue to talk to each other, okay?
Okay, thanks
Okay.
very much.
It's good to see you. And
Yeah,
everybody,
you too.
I'm going to tell you, everybody in here right now feels for what you're going through.
Yeah, it's not
I can
great.
promise you that. Yeah. Sorry that you're struggling. Sucks, man. Sucks to be you
Yeah.
right now. That's just the way that it is. Right? It doesn't mean that you have to stay there. It just means
No.
that every single one of us has been there. One or
Yeah.
a whole bunch of times.
Yeah,
right? So we know that we can get better because we do recover.
for sure.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Good to see you, baby.
Yeah.
So there was a Facebook question, and the question is this group about weight loss or addiction?
Yes, this group is about addiction, not weight loss. So no, it's not about weight loss, and it's not about how not to get drunk, and it's not about how to take Percocets successfully, or how to only binge and purge once in a while. Right? Right. It's about addiction and recovery. And so when we're in active addiction, it doesn't matter what we're picking up. And when we're in recovery, we learn that we don't have to pick up whatever that is. So this is a group about, it's not about weight loss. The weight loss comes. Losing weight don't make us feel better. Losing weight makes us skinny. So a lot of us get skinny and stay crazy, right? And then eventually gain back the weight because you're just a skinny crazy person as opposed to a fatter crazy person. But yeah, so it's about getting rid of the crazy so that we don't have to pick up. It's about learning to live life on life's terms, learning what we are in control of, what we're not in control of, learning to change our perspective, learning how to spiritually get happy so that we don't have to pick up whatever it is that we're picking up to change the way that we're feeling.
So we don't need to struggle, live with pain, live with guilt or shame.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
All right.
So that happiness actually becomes a choice.
Yes.
So when you've got a choice every single day on how you want to live that day, because not every day is a fantastic day or fabulous, but there's always something good that happens every single day. So it's a matter of perspective.
Yeah, and so and what you're saying is, so there's always something good enough to give us a reason not to pick up.
So that is why you always insist on us doing our gratitude list.
Correct.
So what is a gratitude list?
What is it? It's 3 things you're grateful for and your strength for the day. We've been doing our strength from the list of spiritual principles. You don't have to do that. It's just something that we put out there. So 3 things that I'm grateful for, really big things or really teeny tiny things, doesn't matter, and whatever your strength for the day is. And that allows us to look back at our day and realize that we can look at what's great or we could look at what's crap. That's completely up to us.
So a gratitude list for me is, as an addict in recovery, I still can get into a very small space, which is the space just above my neck. And when I spend too much time there, it becomes a really dark place, and I start having those thoughts and start going down really ugly spaces, and the crazy starts stepping in. But when I start doing my gratitude list, things start shifting. I realize the world's a wider place and a bigger place, and it's not all just about me, and there are beautiful things out there, even though crazy stuff happens in here, and it helps me be able to shift my perspective, even if it's for a very short period of time. And it can be as simple as getting out of bed without having any pain and being able to actually walk, whereas I know before there were times when I wasn't able to do that, or not be breathless, or be able to make healthy choices and have food in my refrigerator and have a roof over my head and have my family and be surrounded by people who care and love me and have someone who I can call if I'm struggling. I mean, the gratitude can be so simple.
Right, and it could be as simple as, I got a snowflake, by the way. I don't know if you saw my
Oh, I
snowflake,
never.
you
I
guys.
just see the
But
flower.
instead of my
So
little flower, I
cool.
got a snowflake, and it made me really happy. You know, sometimes I get a green light where I usually get a red light, and it makes me really happy. You know, sometimes, like, I forgot all about these boots. But then I put them on today, and they're gorgeous, right? And made me so happy. You know, like, I'll come in and I'll say something to you, and you'll say, oh, yeah, well, the reading today said this, and that makes me happy. So it's about looking at, look at it, Angela, with the little white thing over her head, saying that, like, it makes me happy. It makes me smile. You made me tea with milk in it, and that made me happy. So there's a whole bunch of little teeny tiny things that happen as well that we can really be happy for. And the more of those little things that we look at, listen, you guys, happiness begets happiness. Gratitude begets gratitude. So the more that we focus on what we're grateful for, the more grateful we become. It's really kind of simple, right?
Right, and it also touches on something we were discussing earlier, service. You know, service is a two-way street, and the two-way street is for me to be able to give and to receive. You know, it's a two-way, it's a mirror. And that service can be sharing my feelings with you and you responding back to me and me being open and willing to be able to hear what you're saying and also be courageous enough to be able to put those thoughts out there, because for so long and for so many years I didn't think I was worthwhile. I didn't think that I had that value to be able to share my thoughts with anyone, that anyone would really want to hear what I had to say, that I was so insignificant. And as weird as it sounds, my ego seemed so huge, but I felt so like nothing on the inside.
Right, and on the outside you looked really good.
Yeah, on the outside looked
Right,
fantastic.
really good.
Lost
Yeah.
150 pounds, wearing the smaller sizes. I can so relate to what you're saying, and my closet looks like a little village. I've got clothes from 22 wide all the way down, and it took me nearly 2 years to start clearing out my closet.
You
because
just
I
gave
didn't
me
want
2
to-
shirts.
I did. I gave Felice some
Little
shirts.
tiny shirts.
Really shirts I'll never ever get into. Okay, but the thing is, I understand that struggle. I really do, and thank you for sharing, because it helped put me back in that place and remember what it was like. And it's really tough. It's a hard place to be.
Right, and how many people in this room have worn clothes in every single different size, right?
Most of mine, as I got larger, became more and more black. Like my closet got darker and darker as they got bigger and bigger. Okay, so, and also they were more elasticized. I had less belts in bigger sizes. I got very few big belts. It's the craziest thing, but it's very true.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, why? You can go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that, talking about weight loss, whatever, and it's such a fact, at least for me, that how many times have I lost weight and I got small and I wasn't happy? I felt the same way. I looked in the mirror and I said, "Oh, I feel fat." I look like, it doesn't make me happy.
Of course
Doesn't make me
not.
happy at
If it
all.
made you happy, and if that's what the problem was, that you needed to lose weight, then you wouldn't have regained the weight.
Exactly.
If that was your answer to get skinny, then that would have been the answer.
It makes
But it
me
wasn't
more
the
crazy.
answer.
The more I
It's
lose, the more I
crazier.
get crazy. So this time around, I'm trying to make sure that I don't focus on the weight and look in the mirror, "Oh, have I lost?" and more just focus on me getting happy inside.
Good.
That's what I'm trying
Awesome.
to do.
Awesome. Ange?
And I was gonna say something about the gratitude. I've said this a couple times, so hopefully it's not repetitive. But I haven't said it in a while. So when you first had me do gratitude, I thought it was like stupid.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
She thought everything that I told her to do was stupid,
Yeah,
by the
because
way.
it was so
I'm not
simple,
kidding.
and like I had done so many things. I had done so many other harder things in my before I met you to get better. So when you told me do gratitude, I'm like, what is that gonna do? Like, really? And it changed my life, because the gratitude is the component that you added in. I know it's the willingness to change, but more so than that, it's that little thing that you change your perspective for the day, and then you do it for a week, then you do it for a month, then you do it for, I haven't made it to a year yet, but it'll be a year. And it's like each day you do it, you start looking at things differently. And I know you always tell me your brain remembers and here's what you think and do, and so I think it's one of those things. And so as stupid as I thought it was not that at all. It was really an integral part of my recovery.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say that.
I'd like to share.
Sure.
I've never been a part of a group like this, so I wasn't really sure what to say. But, one thing I can definitely relate on the clothes thing. I've lost and gained weight so many times, especially like this year in January. I had lost from where I am now, 60 pounds, and now I threw away all my fat clothes cuts and never again am I gonna do this, and here I am. So, I've done the Atkins diet. I've done just the 40-30-30 zone diet. Just balanced approach and all that stuff. I'm doing HCG now.
There you go.
And I've gained weight on HCG, so
Yeah.
hasn't been too successful. That's how I lost the weight last year and the beginning of this year. Just trying to get back on track.
But it's not about you getting back on track with your food. Because if it was as simple as you dieting, you would have
it's more than
dieted
that.
once.
I agree.
Right. It's changing what's happening here. Because there's a reason why you can't stop picking up. There's a reason why you go through what you go through and you lose your weight. And then as soon as you get to that weight that you think is good and you're going to be great and you're going to be happy, you do the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? So we know if we do what we did, we're going to get what we had. And so you well know the first time that you pick up that piece of bread or that chip or that piece of cake or whatever, that you're going to be off to the races. It's learning, why am I picking up? Why am I picking up? Because it ain't about the food. Not when you're sitting in a group like this talking about gaining and losing 60 pounds and gaining 60 pounds and losing 60 pounds and doing this diet and doing this and doing this. It's not about the food, and it ain't about the diet. It's about your thinking and changing your perspective, because you'll diet, lose weight, and gain weight for the rest of your life, and you'll be miserable about it and obsessed about it for the rest of your life if nothing else changes.
So I can so relate to this because I'm that serial dieter, that compulsive overeater. I'm the person who probably has gained and lost 600 pounds in my lifetime. I opted for bariatric surgery. I'm the person who can eat to the point where I'm really uncomfortable and in pain. But it's to get a certain effect, to change the way that I'm feeling, and not because I'm hungry. I will eat because it's a diversion. It helps me stay numb. It helps me not deal with what there is at that stage, and rather be busy focusing on eating rather than actually stopping and focusing on me and seeing what is actually really going on. So I can really understand that point of doing all those different diets and doing all those different things, because there's not a diet I haven't tried, and I have spent a fortune on diets. And in fact, I went and spent a fortune on bariatric surgery. But no matter what it is, at the end of the day, it still came back to me having to come back to me and look at me and really see the motivation of what are the reasons that I'm really picking up. And those things are stuff we don't want to deal with. You know, that is recovery. That is what we start learning in the rooms, is how to have those tools to be able to open up. And why am I powerless over certain things? How come I'll drive 20 minutes to go get a taco or whatever it is, and it becomes a compulsion that for 5 days in a row I've got to put myself out and plan my day that I make a stop wherever I'm going to pick up that food? Or why is it that the only thought that I have most of the day is what I'm eating and when I'm going to eat and how I'm eating and how much I'm getting, and lying to the person in the drive-thru to tell them I haven't eaten today even though I ate 10 minutes ago, and cleaning out the wrappers in my car and hiding the food from other people and getting people out so I could go use on my own. Food for me is my drug of choice. So I'm an addict, and that is what I pick up, and that's what I use, and how I abuse it, and how I hurt myself is through food.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, so it's some food for thought, really. It's
So you're
something
not
to
alone.
think about, yeah. Because everybody in this room and the other 10,000 people out there that watch us on Facebook, we're only a teeny speck of what's going on out there as far as food addiction goes.
So unfortunately, we are running out of time. Susan, I saw your post. You know, it's difficult living with people who are in active addiction. You need to get support as well. There are many different rooms that give support to people that we live with. Look for it. Anything with an A is always good.
Yeah.
Al-Anon, any of those groups are always good tool. You'll
Yeah,
learn great
Coda,
tools.
right?
Yeah.
Codependence, yeah.
You'll get great techniques and great tools.
And there's also something to be said about the person that lives with other people in active addiction. So you want to find out what that part of yourself is, and why the person that's with the addict, why are you doing what you're doing too? Right?
Right.
Right. It's always about looking at ourselves and understanding what we're doing, then learning how to change our perspective and get healthy.
Right, and I just want to also give a quick shout out to Dee, because she was in Zoom and she left us. But join us in the rooms on Zoom so we can hear your voice and you can be part of the discussion. We meet again on Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please post your gratitudes. Do it on Downside. Oh, we know what's eating you. It's our private group. You can also, we're setting up our website to be able to have a forum on the website, so you'll be able to communicate with us that way as well. Because some addicts don't like the craziness of Facebook. So please reach out to people, do your gratitudes, join our meetings, and thank you so much for sharing.
I'm Felice, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I'm blessed and grateful to everybody that showed up tonight here in the room. And everybody out there, you guys, we know that the struggle is real, and addiction sucks, and recovery's hard, and recovery is awesome and amazing and so well worth it. And I'm so blessed and grateful to be in recovery. My name is Felice, and thank you for joining us this Wednesday for our Wacky Wednesday Why Wait for Recovery meeting.
And my name's Haiti, and I'm blessed and grateful for you and also for the opportunity to be of service and to be here. Please share this broadcast if it was something that you found useful and you feel that it can help someone else who's struggling. And we look forward to connecting with you again on Sunday. And
Peace out, you
everybody.
guys. Good night.
Good night.
How many credits?